Good morning, church. Sir, okay, I'm just coming from somewhere, not just Beach Baptist anywhere, but Beach Baptist somewhere. Uh, Interesting. This is our first time that we haven't been where we normally are for Beach Baptist anywhere. We had to come to Ohio for our wedding, and so Sharon and I are up here doing that, and I'm here with you this morning. So I'm excited to do that. I want to give you a fun fact. You know that if you were to set up a laptop and a couple other pieces of equipment to do an online presentation, and you happen to do that in front of the Cincinnati Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI field office, while you're recording, someone will come out and really inquire as to your purpose and ask you to leave. So this is actually take two of Beach Baptist Anywhere this morning as I present to you this, because I was in front of the FBI building. They didn't like it. So now I'm in front of 8044. I don't think they care. Nobody's here today. Didn't even think somebody'd be at the FBI office, but they were Sunday morning. I promised you last week we're going to tell you two things. So it's kind of a sermonette. It's not a full blown sermon, but I wanted to get it to you. I needed to get it out of my brain so that I can move on to something else. We're talking about vigilance today, just about how we are in our Christian life, and to be vigilant about God's movement in our life, what we see, what we hear, what we from Him that He wants us to do. And so there's two things that just came to my mind. I was reading a bunch of other stuff a couple weeks ago, and the two things that popped out was don't sleep and don't get drunk. That's the best way to stay vigilant. And I don't mean don't go to sleep, like lay your head on the pillow. And I apologize if my voice sounds weird, but I've been stopped up for over 2 weeks. So it doesn't mean that kind of sleep, and then to be drunk, it also doesn't mean don't drink. We're not in there today. That's not our message today. Here's what don't sleep means. Don't sleep in the Christian world. As you're talking about that, when you see it, it means don't get into cruise control mode. Don't just be going about your life, not aware of what God is speaking to you or what God is doing in your life. It's sort of the mentality of, hey, I'm a Christian, I got saved, I'm going to heaven, I don't really need to do anything else about this. I'm good with God. God and I are, we're like that. No, that's not what God calls us to do. I've got notes over here, so in case you're wondering what he's staring at, I am aware that somebody's going to walk up behind me. It did do that. But the whole, I wear, I got some Christian wear, if you're me, I listen to worship music in the morning, whatever it is that you say or that you seem to equate to the fact in your life that I'm a believer. And then that's just sort of where you hang all your laurels, and everything else is, okay after that. That's sleepy. That's being sleepy as a Christian. In fact, First Thessalonians chapter 5, I'm pretty sure, it says, "But you, brethren, are not in darkness." I didn't write all that down. I wanted you to. "So this day should not overtake you as a thief. You are all sons of light and sons of the day. We're not of the night or the darkness. Therefore, let's not sleep like others do." And then he says the two phrases, "Let's watch and be sober." I was reading through some news articles. There's a family that stayed at an Airbnb, and the AC had gone out. So they had all the windows open. I don't even know where it was at. While they were asleep, somebody snuck in through the window, stole all of their electronics from around them. Went back out the same window. They woke up and everything was gone. They were asleep and somebody snuck in, stole their stuff. And that's what the Bible alludes to in our Christian walk, is that as you sleep, as you just kind of go about your day, Satan will come in and steal things from you. Joy, he'll steal some peace. You ever met Christians with no peace? They're bad. I get it, but a Christian with no hope is even worse. And I met a few of those, and it's just hopeless. It's just hopeless. And I feel bad because in a way they're sleeping. They're not aware of what God has given them. I have a hard time practicing this too sometimes. Looking at life and looking at what's going on, and then being able to dig deep and find an inner peace, or dig deep and find an inner hope, dig deep and find an inner strength. It's tough. I'm more apt to look at circumstances around me, and that's what tells me things are hopeless, or that's what tells me things aren't peaceful. You see people predict stuff or whatever, and you're like, oh, I can see that happening. And God's like, hey, remember, don't sleep on this. remember who I am. Don't let Satan sneak in and snatch that from you. Don't let him pull that birthright out from underneath you, to use some biblical words there. You were born for such a time as this. You were anointed and you were appointed to do certain things in your life for God, not just for yourself, but for Him. And a lot of times it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't look like it. But I believe that's because we sleep on what God is talking to us and showing us, and we just sort of get passed by on that. And that's not missing out on a blessing. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is it hurts us emotionally. It hurts us spiritually a little, because when we miss out on what God is doing, we seem to think He doesn't care, or we seem to tend to put Him in the back of our minds, and then we try to go on about our day in our own way. And He's saying, you're sleeping on me. You've put me on that cruise control mentality, and you're trying to go about life, and you're not interacting with me. And I mean constantly. This is not this sleeping thing is not about you don't even get to take a nap. And I find myself napping on God sometimes, right? I've told y'all that many, many times in my life. I will get a direction and I'll take off, right? Oh, that's what you want me to do. Got it. I'll talk to you if something messes up. That's taking a nap. That's me hitting the snooze button on God. I'll let you know if things don't work out the way, I think they should, even though, you're the one that put this in motion. That's not it. You don't need to snooze your way through this short life for God. I mean, if you do, what I think, I have to imagine that at the end of that, Satan will give you a standing ovation on your performance as a Christian, and he'll be like, "Good job, yeah, we did all right." Or maybe he just don't want to wake you up. Get on. That's gonna be harder. Stay vigilant. I do notice that it's so much harder for even Satan to hit a moving target. When you're doing when I'm clued in on what God's doing, the other stuff, it sort of bounces off of me. It just moves, and Satan can't get to me. He can't change anything about me. He's missed out, and I can see it. And that's the times when people look at you and go, "Well, that doesn't bother you? That doesn't mess with you?" And I'm like, no, I didn't really pay attention. That's the kind of life that I think God wants us to live, is that we're so focused. We try to be so focused on Him that the lies that the devil tells, we don't even see, don't even pay attention, don't even hear. There, that's what I'm saying. This past week, when is Pearl Harbor? That's December, right? This past week we had, we dropped the first atomic bomb. The anniversary of that was this past week, wasn't it? I get my wars mixed up. I'm not good on history. Sorry. But the reason I'm saying that is it's not for nothing, but when Pearl Harbor was attacked, most of Hawaii was asleep. And these sneak attacks usually happen in the dark, when you sleep, when you've been lulled into just, even, it can be either way.